You are on the brink of a fatal mistake, and you do not even know it yet. Ignoring this will keep you trapped in a life that feels out of control, restless, and undefined. You think the chaos is normal, that it's just how life is. But the reality is far more dangerous. If you skip this part, one of the later insights is going to hit you harder than you expect, and not in a good way. Stay with me until the end, because one lesson will twist everything you thought you knew, flipping it on its head. I am the calm within my storm. My strength is unyielding. I want you to pause right now and comment, I am the calm within my storm. My strength is unyielding, below. Do it to solidify this manifesto in your reality. Let every like on your comment remind you of this promise. If you ignore this, the rest of your efforts will collapse. Our journey begins now. Imagine the days where every challenge seems to shake you. But then, you'll find a moment of clarity, a steady beat in your core that refuses to sway. This unmovable center, this fortress inside, we will build it together. Lesson 1. The Armor of Indifference. Imagine weathering a storm. While everyone else is swept away, you stand firm, untouched by it all. The secret is not being hard as a rock, but as fluid as water. This is the armor of indifference. It is a mindset, a shield against the pointless things that try to pull you in every direction. Most people fail here and never realize why. They confuse indifference with a lack of caring. But true indifference is precisely the opposite. It is caring deeply about what truly matters and letting the rest fall away. Marcus Aurelius pointedly said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, focus on what you control and let the rest go. If this feels familiar, you may not be fully in control yet. Many people think that reacting to every slight or problem makes them strong. They believe displaying every emotion is living authentically. But a constant need to react is actually a pattern, not personality. And it often leads to fatigue and regret. This is where good intentions quietly become self-destruction. When you hold on to every disappointment, every useless debate, or every random opinion, you become a puppet to the whims of the world. Your emotions become strings pulled by any passing hand. No wonder you feel out of control. To become untouchable, shape the boundaries of your mind. Decide that only important things warrant your full attention. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In simple terms, your response is what defines your peace. Consider an athlete in a game. They do not get distracted by the crowd, but remain locked in on their goal. You need to create the same focus. Distractions are everywhere. You choose what matters. If any part of this felt like someone finally said what you already knew, that subscribe button is your way of saying yes. Press it. Remember, indifference is not about ignoring the world, but about mastering what disrupts your peace. Stay with me, because soon we will explore how you can use this armor to remain unshaken, even in the most furious storms. Lesson 2. Emotions as echoes, not commands. If you ignore this, your emotions will continue to rule you, driving your decisions like a reckless pilot in a storm. Most people let their emotions dictate every action, transforming them into slaves to their feelings. But there's a secret here. Emotions are echoes, not commands. Recognizing this changes everything. Let's break down what I mean. Emotions reflect what is happening inside you, but they are not orders you must follow. Imagine a child throwing a tantrum because they believe they need a toy. Are those cries a real need or just an echo of a temporary desire? Your emotions are similar. They announce what you feel, yet you decide their power. This understanding is crucial for resisting their misleading push. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Simply put, control your mind and you control your life, not the other way around. Most people let emotions drive their car. You are different. You can choose to step back and observe your emotions instead of letting them take the wheel. Yet, recognizing this is only the first step. Handling emotions with clarity is an art you must practice. Every emotion, every impulse is a chance to train your mind. Here is the truth. If you're upset by betrayal, anger wants you to burn bridges. Instead, reflect on why it hurts and decide with a cool head how to proceed. Discerning echoes from commands weakens their influence. Consider the seasoned chess player. They pause, observe the board, and anticipate moves before striking. They do not act on impulse. This is how you should treat your emotions. Pause, observe, and then choose. If any part of this felt like someone stripped away the confusion and laid out the path you always wish someone would show you, that subscribe button is your way of saying yes. Join in. To sum it up, your emotions are signals, not puppet strings pulling you without your consent. Learn to hear them, but not to obey them blindly. This is how you transform from the anxious person of yesterday into the untouchable soul of tomorrow. Lesson 3. Ownership of reactions. Most people think they have no control over their reactions. They see themselves as victims of circumstance. That toxic boss, that unkind comment, that twist of fate, they let these dictate their mood. But what if I told you that every reaction is a choice? Imagine this. You're sitting in traffic, stuck, late for an important meeting. Emotions start bubbling, a slow burn of frustration and anger. You grip the wheel tight. Feels familiar, does it not? The secret here, and this is where most people miss the mark, is that the traffic is not the problem. Your reaction is. This is where the unseen power lies. Your mind can be your fortress or your prison. Owning your reactions means recognizing that you have a choice every single time. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In plain words, you decide how you respond. External chaos cannot touch inner peace if you do not allow it. This is a rule that connects deeply with another concept we'll explore later, one that redefines how you see external pressure. Have you ever noticed a pattern in how you react to stress? People often repeat these same behaviors, unaware of their roots. Picture this. You have a confrontation with someone close. The argument escalates, and anger leads to harsh words, followed by regret. This happens again and again. Understanding this pattern is crucial. Your instinct might suggest lashing out, but stepping back reveals room for wiser actions. Think of your emotions like a storm passing through. Just as the rain cannot last forever, neither can anger or sadness. Knowing this disarms the impulse to react instantly. Remember this. Most reactions are habits formed by unquestioned beliefs. A statement as simple as taking a calming breath can shift a reaction from destructive to constructive. These behaviors rarely appear by accident. They are usually symptoms of deeper fears or desires for control. Now, remember how earlier we discussed emotional echoes and commands? This awareness becomes more profound when tied to this lesson. Understanding and owning your reactions connects you to the broader practice of emotional mastery. If any part of this felt like a mirror to your life, the subscribe button is your way of saying yes. Press it. Imagine the power when you transform every emotional impulse into an informed choice. This is how you shift from reactivity to deep resilience. When external events can no longer dictate your state of mind, you become untouchable. This is what true ownership looks like, replacing chaos with clarity, one reaction at a time. Charting new territory. Lessons 2 and 4 redefine control over emotions. Have you ever felt like your emotions have trapped you in a cycle you cannot break? This is where most people fall. The illusion that their reactions are beyond their control, as if the weather inside their minds is dictated by invisible forces. But what if I told you that this is just an illusion? Emotions are powerful, but they are not immovable. They are clouds passing through the sky of your mind, shaped not just by external events, but by the stories you tell yourself. This is one of the strongest indicators that you are being ruled by a narrative you did not write. These patterns rarely appear by accident. They are often signals of unresolved fears, unmet needs for certainty, or deep desires for control. Remember the earlier discussion of emotional echoes? It is the unspoken dialogue within you, influencing every reaction and decision. It is crucial to redefine this narrative, to reclaim the authorship of your emotional story. So how do you step into this space of power? Start by separating perception from reality. As Marcus Aurelius advised, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In today's terms, it means you can control how you see things, even if you cannot control what happens. Opening this loop of awareness lets you break free from the automatic. Ask yourself, why do certain words trigger you? Why does a particular situation set you off? These are not separate events. They are connected by the storyline your mind follows. Each reaction offers insight into the script you are acting out. This is why the earlier rule was critical. Recognizing the emotional echoes and taking deliberate action, like a simple breath, can interrupt the loop and begin a new narrative. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In modern terms, your power lies in your response. Consider this. What if every emotional spike was an opportunity, not a threat? What decision would you make if anger, fear, or anxiety was the alarm bell signaling a chance to course correct? If you have ever sensed that deep down, you have more control than you allow yourself to believe, I invite you to explore this notion. Every week I come back with more of this. If you want to be here for it, subscribe now. The next one might be the one that changes everything. As you incorporate these lessons into your life, watch transformation unfold. It begins with testing these waters of emotional control. Be curious about your triggers, not captive to them. Acknowledge that each unwanted reaction is a signpost, guiding you to deeper understanding. What is more empowering than discovering that your state of mind does not have to be a captive to the storm around you? That is the ultimate freedom. Being untouchable starts here. Lesson 4. The freedom in limits. Most people fail to see limits as liberating. They see them as shackles. But what if these limits actually set you free? We often resist constraints, thinking they're barriers to our success. In truth, they are the very boundaries that give us focus, intention, and purpose. Consider the way a river needs banks to flow powerfully. Without limits, it becomes a flood. Aristotle said, "The disciplined mind is free." In simpler words, when you concentrate your power within clear lines, you achieve freedom of action. People who understand this usually follow patterns you can recognize. They do not waste their energy on what is beyond their control. They focus only on what they can actually influence. This is how you know they embrace freedom. They set rules to work by and leverage discipline to thrive in any situation they face. Imagine this scenario: a writer trying to pen the perfect novel. Without a deadline, the writer meanders in a sea of endless choices. It becomes a never-finished masterpiece. But once a deadline is applied, creativity finds its stride. This is the power of limits at play. What is more exhausting than endlessly wandering every path available? When you learn that adopting limits is not a surrender but a strategic choice, it changes the game. Limits guide you to the core of your true potential. Now, If you sense a part of this message speaks directly to you, that subscribe button is your way of affirming it. Press it because it may unlock something you never before considered. Stoic thought often echoes this principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not set your mind on things you do not possess as if they were yours, but count the blessings you actually possess, and think how much you would desire them if they were not already yours." In today's words, focus on your reality to find your path forward. The biggest indicator that you are untouchable is not that you feel invincible, but that you feel guided. When you learn to see limits as navigational tools, you gain a rare kind of power. It is the calm strength of knowing exactly how and where to act. Every boundary you accept bravely can become a new frontier to explore. Embrace these limits, not as hindrances, but as the frames that shape your strength. Lesson 5. The Deathbed Mentality. Stop for a moment. Imagine being on your deathbed, reflecting on your life. What would you regret? Is it the opportunities you ignored because you thought they were too risky, or the times you chose comfort over challenge? Most people shy away from this thought because it is uncomfortable, but ignoring it costs you time you can never get back. In Stoicism, the deathbed mentality is not morbid. It is a way to align your actions with what truly matters. When Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it," he was warning us about the biggest mistake, treating time like it is limitless. In plain terms, the clock is ticking, and most people waste it. Here is where one later rule explains why this will make all the difference. A Stoic does not fear the end. They use it as fuel. And keep watching, because one of the sections connects everything in a way you might not expect. With this mindset, the mantra memento mori becomes a tool for freedom. It means remember you must die, and in modern terms, recognize the urgency of now. Focus on what feeds your soul. Make sure your life leads to a legacy, not just an existence. Now, I want you to pause right now and comment memento mori below. Do it to solidify this manifesto in your reality. Let every like on your comment remind you of this promise. Accepting the reality of mortality does not make you fearful. It makes you decisive. It clears the noise and clarifies what really matters. These are the most common signs. You make sure your calendar reflects your priorities and not just your duties. Most people fail here and never realize why until it is too late. They fill their days, but not their lives. When you act with purpose, your decisions become aligned with every single precious moment you have. This is not about finding time. It is about making time for the things that define you. You gave me your time. Give me one more second. Hit subscribe. That is how I know to keep going. And remember, owning the deathbed mentality transforms limits into guides. When you know your time is short, you prioritize fiercely. You become not just untouchable, but unstoppable. Time is your ally, not your enemy. Every choice then becomes a testament to your inner resolve. Lesson 6. Failure as your fiercest teacher. Failure does not mean the end. It is only the beginning of the real lesson. Most people see failure as a full stop, but it's a doorway. This is not just a setback. It's an opportunity to learn and adapt. Think of it like fire for the blacksmith. It shapes, molds, and refines you. Failure is a clear pattern that shows where we need to change. It often happens when we try to avoid discomfort or when we cling too tightly to one outcome. As Seneca once said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. In plain terms, facing challenges is how we build mental strength. This is one of the strongest indicators that you are moving in the wrong direction. You keep encountering the same barriers without changing your approach. It is telling you something deep and critical. The Stoics believe that by examining our failures, we learn more about ourselves than we ever could through success. Here's a key element. Failure is never wasted if you choose to learn from it. This is why the first rule mattered. When you understand that each setback is a source of wisdom, you become immune to the fear of failure. Now you can see why I warned you about not understanding this at the start. Reevaluate your mistakes. Step back and observe them without judgment. Most people skip this step because it feels painful, but that's where the growth happens. If you ignore this, the chance to turn your mistakes into tools for future success collapses. You gave me your time. Give me one more second. Hit subscribe. That is how I know to keep going. Transform these stumbles into stepping stones. This is not a comforting lie. It is the hard truth that builds resilience. The final lesson in this series will show you how failure works in tandem with every other aspect of self-mastery. By then, you'll realize each setback is just another stone on the path to becoming untouchable. Unveiling Connections. Lessons 1 and 7 reveal the roots of resilience. You may think that these are just lessons, but the truth is, they are pathways to resilience. If you overlook the connections between Lesson 1 and Lesson 7, you stall your growth. Most people dismiss repetition as a sign of failure, but in reality, it is a sign of strength if used correctly. Lesson 1 taught you to remain unfazed by external chaos, while Lesson 7 guided you to find tranquility amidst storms. Connecting these lessons reveals where true resilience is born. When everything outside of you crumbles, you hold firm not by sheer stubbornness, but by aligning inward calm with outward action. People who navigate adversity well often reveal a pattern, anchored in stillness within, yet fiery in resolve without. They recognize that each challenge brings clarity, a mirror reflecting the gap between who they are and who they aspire to be. It is not a coincidence that success in one area deepens strength in another. These behaviors rarely appear by accident. They are cultivated. Remember how I emphasized observing setbacks without judgment earlier? This is why. Look deeper, because embracing mistakes from a place of centered insight changes everything. It transforms perceived failures into bricks for resilience. It is a revelation that not many grasp until they see the bigger picture. Comfort is not saving you. It is weakening you. Your fear of discomfort dilutes your potential for growth. Ironically, the discomfort that most avoid is actually the nutrient-rich soil where resilience grows. Every storm is telling you something. Every setback is a signal. If you keep seeing the same challenges, it means there is a lesson. Unlearn it. Learn it. Master it. Use it. If any part of this felt like someone finally said what you already knew, that subscribe button is your way of saying yes. Press it. The key takeaway here is realizing that resilience is not a single act, but a series of linked decisions. Boldly face life's chaos, and then, in the stillness of reflection, gather its teachings. This is where you forge resilience, solidifying each lesson into your being. The challenge now is to see storms not as threats, but as trainers that sharpen your mind and amplify your potential. Lesson 7. The mirror of self-reflection. You tend to look outward for answers, but what if the real mystery lies within? Most people run from self-reflection. After all, staring into the mirror of your own life, your own actions, is not easy. It is uncomfortable. Yet, this pause, the moment of self-reflection, holds the power to transform you. This could be the strongest indicator that you are truly on the path to self-mastery. But here is where most fail. They glance, they glimpse, but they never truly see themselves. They see only fragments of what they allow. In reality, looking deeply into yourself is not about finding weaknesses, but about uncovering your own truths. Think about Marcus Aurelius, who constantly wrote to himself, examining each thought and action like a meticulous craftsman. To him, clarity was not a given. It was earned through tireless reflection. He said, "The the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, but he knew understanding those thoughts was the first step. In plain words, to control your life, you must first understand what fills your mind. Remember, you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. If you keep seeing patterns of failure or dissatisfaction, that is a clear sign. Something within needs to be addressed. It does not appear by accident. These reflections are your strongest teachers, guiding you to new wisdom. If this sounds significant, it is because it is. The act of reflecting is a quiet revolution. It redirects your life course ever so slightly, yet profoundly. Many will hear it, but few will act. The ones who do commit themselves to this discipline see growth. They see change. Stay with me, because one of the final lessons ties every path of self-improvement into a singular journey. Most people are terrified of silence, but there lies the unmistakable power. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. Ask yourself one essential question. What story am I telling myself about who I am? Quietly listen to that answer. Challenge it if you must. If any part of this hits home, subscribe. The ones who hit that button are the ones willing to go deeper. The deeper the journey introspection inspires, the higher you rise when the insight settles. Reflections are not destinations, but bridges. Bridges that will lead you to a future defined not by chance, but by choice. Will you dare to look in the mirror and see the truth behind your own eyes? Lesson 8. The fortress of internal validation. The craving for external validation is a prison. If left unchecked, it controls you. It is the mistake most people make, thinking approval defines who they are. External validation is fleeting. What happens when the applause fades? You find yourself lost and empty. Yet, the solution lies within a formidable fortress, internal validation. It is the art of being enough for yourself. This is a skill, a mastery that grants you a resilient kind of freedom. And here is the secret. 2 points in this journey, one later in this lesson and one we discussed, work together in perfect harmony. Missing this link means staying trapped in self-doubt. If you stay with me, the final insight will reshape everything you think you know about validation. It unveils the secret power within to be truly untouchable. The inner fortress changes the game. Consider this mantra: my worth is mine to define and mine alone. Pause right now and comment, my worth is mine to define and mine alone below. Do it to solidify this manifesto in your reality. Let every like on your comment remind you of this promise. People who listen to the crowd often find themselves disappearing into it. But people who cultivate their internal voice discover an unwavering compass. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In plain words, the thoughts you nurture are the ones that shape your world. This fortress of internal validation is easy to overlook, yet impossible to fake. You do not need the world's approval to know your value. Most people miss this and continue living as shadows of themselves. Do not be most people. Now, you gave me your time. Give me one more second. Hit subscribe. That is how I know to keep going. Building this fortress requires courage and practice. You need to become intimately familiar with your own mind. The whispers of self-doubt, the fear of judgment, these are the bricks and mortar for most minds. But what if you replace them with insight and confidence? This is not just possible, it is inevitable when you commit to internal validation. You will find that this fortress, once built, empowers you to face the world not with fear, but with strength. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Live those words. Because the strongest indicator of internal strength is not how you feel in comfort, but how you stand firm in chaos. Silence condemns noise, but it is within the silence that your strongest voice resides. Embrace it. Let it free you. Build this fortress and understand that your deepest validation comes from within, and once you have it, nothing can shake you. Lesson 9. Let go to gain control. If you ignore this, the rest of your effort will collapse. Trying to control every detail of your life is the easiest way to lose it all. In your quest for control, you might be strangling the very growth that sets you free. The lesson about letting go forms a secret bridge to another lesson in this video. Miss this bridge, and you will stumble again at the end. Remember, this could be the key that transforms everything else you hear today. I live in harmony with what I cannot control and take command of my response. I want you to pause right now and comment. I live in harmony with what I cannot control and take command of my response below. Do it to solidify this manifesto in your reality. Let every like on your comment remind you of this promise. How often do you let uncertainty ripple through your day, believing you need a handle on everything to succeed? Most people believe that controlling every circumstance is the only way to achieve stability. But the truth is, clinging too tightly might be the real barrier to finding peace. There is a wisdom that the Stoics embraced: to let go of what you cannot control to gain true power over yourself. Seneca said, "He who fears death will never do anything worth of a man who is alive." In plain words, worrying about what you cannot change wastes the life you are living. You must release control to discover freedom and peace. People who try to control every outcome often find they are battling against waves instead of flowing with them. This resistance creates stress and exhaustion. You cannot change the ocean, but you can learn to sail in any direction when you understand the winds. If anything I have said resonates with you or offers a truth you have been waiting to hear, that is your signal to hit subscribe. This small action declares your commitment to embracing internal change. Back to the core message: practice letting go. Turning down the volume on things beyond your grasp allows you to turn up the focus on what is within your power. When you let go, you open space for calm, creativity, and resourcefulness to thrive. In this lesson, relinquishing what you cannot control is not giving up. It is the most powerful form of taking charge. Embrace the essence of Epictetus's teachings. Focus on your response to life's challenges, rather than the challenges themselves. Release the grip, and you will find the freedom you need to master your life. The transformation: becoming untouchable. Most people wander through life without realizing that they are just one shift away from becoming untouchable. You think you know control, yet right now, something's got a grip on you. How much of your peace do you trade daily because the world around you dictates your state? The transformation you're after, this untouchable state, is not a mystery hidden in some ancient temple. It is a practice hidden in plain sight. Two rules in this pursuit are surprisingly linked, and if you spot the connection, your understanding will deepen profoundly. But beware, only by grasping the final lesson does all of this truly make sense. In this transformation journey, you must build an inner fortress that nothing external can breach. The Stoics had a mantra for this very reason: I do not control what happens, only how I respond. I am the calm in the storm. Let this idea not just sit with you. I want you to pause right now and comment, I am the calm in the storm below. Do it to solidify this manifesto in your reality. Let every like on your comment remind you of this promise. Now, let's explore. Most people become slaves to their circumstances. Break free by realizing this power lies in your mind, not in the world around you.